and get this guy. They went to his place, they knocked on his door, and they said, "Hello, are you such and such?" And he said, "Yes, I am." They said, "You're conscripted. You've been pulled out of the hat in the lottery. You have to go to the army. No choice. Up and leave." He looked him in the eye and he said, "I don't have to. We got the authority. You're just one of our people. You have to go to the army." He said, "No, I've done my duty. I've already died." "Excuse me? I've already been there. I've already died. You can't conscript me." And they sort of think to himself, "Now this guy's a bit cuckoo, isn't he? I mean, you're standing in front of me. You're obviously alive. How can you say that you're already dead? You've already done your tour of duty." They said, and he said to him, "Look, you just check in the archives." So the officials thought, well, okay, no harm in doing that. So they went to the archives and they looked through where they had reported of all the different soldiers in different battalions and who was still alive and who was dead. And believe it or not, they came across his name and he had died 2 years ago in battle. Now this is really strange. They went back to the man. They said, "What you're telling us is true. But you're still alive. You've still got to go and serve in the army." And there was a lot of to and froing here because he was arguing with them saying, "Look, I'm dead. As far as I'm concerned, I've actually done it." Until eventually the whole case went to Napoleon himself. And when Napoleon heard it, he looked at it and he says, "Well, let me get some more information about this because this sounds a bit strange." And so he brought the guy in and he said, "How did this happen?" And the man said, "Well, what happened was a few years ago when I was first conscripted, I had to go to the army. But before I went, a man down the road came to me and he said, 'Look, you've got a loving wife, a large family, and I've got no one. My parents are dead. I have no children. I'm all alone. Let me take your place.' So that man took his name, went into the army, was killed for or on behalf of this man here." And when Napoleon looked at it, he said, "He's right. He's already served in the army. He's dead. We can't touch him. He doesn't have to serve anymore." Strange story, but illustrates a point, a simple point that I want to make tonight about what Jesus did for you. I want you to look with me, it'll be on the screen, the verses, to 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21. I want you to listen to this. "For to this you were called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow in his steps." Verse 24, "Who himself bore our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, having died to sins, might live for righteousness, by whose stripes you were healed." Let's unpack that a little bit. In verse 21, we read that Jesus suffered for us. You're going to start seeing a picture here. Christ took our suffering. Verse 24, "Who himself bore our sins in his own body on the tree or the cross and died for them." Let me look at another passage here in Isaiah chapter 53. And if you ever get a chance, this is a wonderful chapter to read. It's written thousands of years ago before Christ, predicting what would happen to him on this earth. And in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 4, It's talking about Christ. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, afflicted. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. By his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity or sins of us all. I don't know if you can imagine if there was a little library where there was an angel in heaven who catalogued everything you did wrong. Now, I'm guessing my library will be huge. Every thought that you have, which is not a good thought, every desire that you've had, every harm that you thought to do on someone else, every bad thing that you've done is catalogued. Drawer after drawer, side by side, taking a whole wall. And I mean, it'd be really scary going into that place, wouldn't it? Because no one really wants to look to see what they are really like. But can you imagine all the lies that you've told, all the things that you've stolen, everything just written there, how much that would accumulate to? Jesus, saying here, took all of that, went through the library, went through all the cards, took them all, and paid for them. Let me maybe make it a little bit more simpler. Imagine, and this is a really good thought, imagine that you had borrowed $1 million. I know I always seem to go back to money. Imagine you borrowed $1 million and you thought to yourself, wow, how can I make more money? Well, the easiest way is to gamble it, isn't it? And so you go and you gamble $1 million and you lose it all. Well, the problem is you borrowed it, didn't you? And the person who lent you the money will one day come and knock on the door and say, Michael, that $1 million I borrowed, I need it back. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have $1 million. And the guy says to you, well, I've really got two options here. What I could do is find out everything that you have and sell it. And I really don't have much. You might make a few $1,000s out of it. And then I could tell you that for the rest of your life, you're going to have to work for me and pay it off. And I'll probably never live long enough to pay back the $1 million. Or he says the other option is, I could wear the cost and make you debt-free. Now that'd be good, wouldn't it? Because if he says to you, look, I'm going to take that cost. And that's a big sacrifice to make, because not many people can lose $1 million. Well, it's happening every day on the stock market now, isn't it? Millions and millions and trillions of dollars have been lost. He makes a sacrifice and says, you're debt-free now. Now you don't have to worry anymore because you're debt-free. You're not scared that someone's going to come back and try and take that money, ask for it back, because it's all been wiped clear. That's what I'm trying to show you here, is this is what Jesus can do for us. There's a story